Hello and welcome to Last Word on Spurs. Hello, fellow European champions. Hello, fellow champions of Hong Kong. Oh, honestly, it's like London bus, isn't it? Wait 17 years, two come along together. Lovely stuff. I am your host for this evening, Richard Cracknell. Let me just start with some very fake worrying news. Ricky can't be with us this evening. A rather portly Greek football club owner took him away during the night, and now he's having to host the last word on Tricky Trees for a few episodes. So you've got me now. I'm assured he's going to be released and come back to us eventually. So at the moment, you've got to put up with me. And of course, the fellow guests this evening. Joining me to my top right, for those of you watching in black and white, because we do this on YouTube before it goes to a podcast. The cricket's on, and it's a transfer saga season as well. And we've actually got him on a show. Please welcome the one and only Mr. Jason McGovern in the house. Jason?
Hello, mate. Good to see you. And lots of smiles all around today. And I've added the Hong Kong trophy to the trophy cabinet.
Well, it did look like it might have been knocked up with a bit of biro, didn't it? It was rather, but more on that later. It wasn't exactly the big shiny trophy, was it? But hey ho, it's a trophy. Get the cabinet open.
But someone finished second again, ole, didn't they?
Lovely. Also joining us this evening, he's the man on the wheels of steel. He's on the ones and twos. He's doing all the background stuff. I'm making that sound like I'm bigging you up, Marlon, but that's if this all comes crashing down, I can go, it wasn't me. I told you it was all Marlon. Via the Spurs Kings TV. Marlon's in the house. Evening, Marlon. How are you, fellow champion?
Evening, Crackers. Look, beating Arsenal on any occasion is going to make me happy. But you know what? It's good to see that we can defend. defend. Oh my God, what a change. But let's see how it all goes. But yeah, I'm all good, Crackers. And we'll probably make a signing this week because Ricky's away. So let's hope.
Yeah. Where's Mr. Gold? Is he away as well? We need to get Mr. Gold away. See if we can get him taken off by the Forest owner as well. And then we might be out of sign Morgan Gibbs. Oh no, that's right.
Wrong show. That's where Ricky's
wrong show. Let him get back for that. And of course, down below me in this house of pain, the one and only Mr. George Achillea. George, how are you? Evening, sir. Looking cool as ever.
I'm very, very good, thank you. Like Marlon said, if you're beating Arsenal, you can't not be happy. So yeah, all happy day representing the classic chocolate away shirt with Berbatov 9 on the back.
Yes,
some real strikers. Beautiful. So yeah, I'm really happy and glad to be talking about a win and like you said, some good tactical defensiveness this week.
Excellent stuff, George. That shirt is now £1 million sterling on eBay. Yes. I'm led to believe it's quite the rarity. So do hang on to that. And that is, of course, an original. You didn't pick one up on the way back from Hong Kong or out.
This is legitness. I had to blackmail, as a fellow Greek, I had to blackmail a few people to get this one. So.
What is it with you Greek boys and holding on to thing and blackmailing? Anyway, that's another show. Carry on. So Arsenal 0, Tottenham 1 in the Hong Kong final. Anybody want to have a stab at what this tournament's actually called? No. We just call it the Hong Kong Cup for now. There's the tale of the tape there. 6 shots to 16, but of course there's only one of those stats that really matter. Jason, I'll come to you first on this. So before the game, you're thinking to yourself, what a load of corporate nonsense this is, wokeness gone mad, and it's just a money-making exercise, and it's not the North London derby. But by the end of it, of course, let the record show that we won the first ever Arsenal-Tottenham game outside of London. And look, it wasn't the Vindaloo of a North London derby, but it ended up being quite the well-seasoned tikka masala of a game, didn't it? It certainly exceeded my expectations of what we was going to see. For you, sir?
Well, I still struggle to call it a North London derby when one team's from South London, but we'll excuse that, mate. It's a strange one to gauge. Defensively, I thought we were excellent. The two fullbacks, I don't think Saka went past Spence once. Martinelli never got past Pedro Porro. I thought Mickey and Romero looked excellent in the centre. Romero's nutmeg, which almost ended up ending Jed Spence's season as the player went sliding past, as I think it was Havertz, wasn't it? Went sliding past Romero and crashed into poor old Jed. But that was a particular standout. And then even when Kevin Danso came on, he made a number of excellent clearances and things. So defensively, much better. Set piece defending was a lot better when we know that Set Piece FC looked to bundle in corners and things. I don't think they really got in an effort on our goal or a decent effort on goal from a set piece. And you know, they never really looked like scoring. And we hit the post 3 times, missed a really good chance through Mickey, and scored a wonder goal. So from that point of view, you kind of think we totally deserved to win it. But the flip side for me was we still only created, we didn't create too many clear-cut chances ourselves. All our chances came from set pieces and things. And when you look at it, we've had one shot on target, which came from 50 yards out. So, you know, there's still work to do on the final third of the pitch. But for the game that it was, and for the weekend we had with 2 really below par performances, I thought, with Wickham and Luton, it was a much better stand-up. Tempo was much better. I thought we matched them physically, which surprised me until the last 20 minutes when all the subs came on. But overall, mate, you have to take the positives from today and be really happy with what we've seen.
Very much so. George, 4 games now for the new man. What is it that you're seeing with him? Is this what we saw from him at Brentford and the organisation, and what he's sort of getting different to where we was previously? Not that, you know, this not a compare and contrast against anybody, just him as a standalone manager now. What you're seeing that you like from him with patterns of play and structures within games from him.
Yeah, I think we pretty much from all 4 games, we seem to set up pretty much the same way. It's always the same sort of build up with okay, when you're all the way close to the goalkeeper, the Vicario or Kinski, when he played, they sort of were involved almost as like an extra centre back in a way, to sort of play out the back, and then it quickly shifts to like a 3-2-5 almost. So for today, for example, it was Bergvall that was doing the pressing alongside Richarlison, and in fact, I like it. It's the same sort of shape that's happening every game, but I like that he's sort of making very little tweaks depending on who the players are. So, for example, when we played, was it Reading? It was Alfie Devine and was it Solanke up front at the time? I think it was. Those 2 were the ones that were pressing really hard because obviously we know that Solanke, that's what he's great at. Tweaks it a little bit today, and because Richarlison can't really actually, you know, run too often, we worry about his injuries and managing him. I noticed a lot of today, it was Bergvall, the one that was really pressing high up the pitch, and Richarlison was sort of a little bit behind him. So, no, I've been impressed with, especially with like the defensive structure, like you guys have mentioned, just simply having the 2 midfielders kind of almost run alongside each other for most of the game. In and around the back 4, I think it looked pretty decent. But yeah, I think to kind of echo what Jason was saying, I think our attacking work and the patterns of play there could still use a bit of work. I think for me, Kudus is an absolute unbelievable signing. And you see when he attacks with the ball, it's almost dangerous every time. So many times whether it was I think at Luton or whether it was today, he was tripled up on that side, and he still gets away from players. I think we just kind of lack that throughout the attacking line, despite the fact I thought Odegaard did pretty well today. But yeah, for me, it's just I'm liking that we're seeing the same sort of patterns, the same sort of shapes. We're clearly it's very, very, very similar to what Brentford were doing last year, as opposed to their kind of three at the back that they used to do. So no, I'm liking it. I just think we've got a bit more work to do when it comes to the attacking bit and the kind of like final moment around the box.
He had Marlon coming to you. Thomas Frank had an excellent record at Brentford versus that sort of alleged top 4, 5, 6, if you like. He had a really great record, and kudos. Does seem to have hit the ground running. Amazing what you can achieve when you buy Premiership proven, ready to go, off the peg players, isn't it? But there was, as Jason was saying in our group chat earlier, not much from open play there, and of course Solanke missing, and but that does need some attention, doesn't it? Really at the top end of the pitch now.
Yeah, no, and that's probably what the biggest problem over pre-season's been, because actually Arsenal will play into our hands a little bit because they will have most of the ball, and we were quite good. We're good at attacking on the break. We have been for a lot, even under Range, we were quite good at it, especially when we went defensive like we did in Frankfurt. So looking at it today, it's all good when we play the Liverpools, the Chelsea's and them, but it's going to become a problem when we have to go and play the teams where we need the ball. We're just not creating enough. Kudos, you're absolutely spot on. He just looks like he's going to be, forgetting Buemo, I think Kudos is going to be the new Buemo of the league, the way they're going to get him to play. And I think George is right. Odegaard was good in bits and pieces today. He was a threat. The problem is that his final ball was letting him down. And when we've got Richarlison, who needs the ball pretty well, I say in front of open goal because he missed one, but he literally needs the ball in a certain area to score goals. And Solanke's the same. Solanke needs, and that's the problem. And I think it's always been a major issue for us. But with Ange last year, we were getting goals from all over the place. I think because we are now more defensively solid, and you are not seeing Porro push forward as much. You aren't. Even Jed Spence today, he weren't pushing as far forward as what Udogie has been in the last few games. So it's going to be a big contrast over the season on how he fixes it. But if we're looking at it going forward, as long as the defense, look, if we don't concede goals, we're not going to lose games. That's how we have to look at it. And then the other bits further on, especially he's only been here, nearly 2 months. We've only had 3 games. Let's just give him time. Let's give the team and him time to breathe, because we're seeing the progression from set pieces already. They, attacking wise, oh my God, I can't believe we look like we're going to score every time we've taken a corner so far. And Arsenal struggled, considering they're the set piece kings. They actually struggled today, which is going to be really interesting throughout the season. What's going to happen with teams with set pieces? We seem to be doing what they were doing last year, and I think Van der Ven was literally, because he's so big and huge, he was just getting front from Ray, just didn't know what to do, which was a complete contrast to where we were last year. However, look, happy with the win today. It'd be interesting how we play against Newcastle on Sunday, because obviously they've had a few games in pre-season where they've lost, and it looks likely they're going through a bit of a rough patch. It's going to be really interesting what we do. But yeah, Jason's absolutely spot on. We've just got to sort out what we're going to do up top and going forward, because to have one shot on target, I know we've won, and it was quite weird when we were doing the stats. The stats were very similar to how the Europa League final were. It was literally us catching them on the break and not having much. So it'd be interesting to see going forward what we're going to do. But again, there's no Maddison, there's no Kulu. Can we really complain at the moment? Is it that's the way it is when you haven't got your most influential players on the pitch? But listen, happy.
Good stuff. Jason, now I phoned my friend with a beard and a lab coat at NASA talking about Richarlison, and he's forensically taken a look at Richarlison's chance there, and he said that was actually physically impossible to put it over the bar. The trajectories and everything, and the upward thrust, it was crazy. Was it? It kind of, I think it hit his post arm, leg up, over, gone. It was just football is nuts and chaos as a science, isn't it?
I think that kind of summed up his whole Tottenham career, wasn't it? It's you're what? You're a foot out, you miss the header, it hits the post, and you end up handballing it over the top of the crossbar. I mean, even if it got in, it'd have been disallowed. It's just, but his general play today, okay, he had 45 minutes at the weekend, but the amount of times he didn't hold the ball up or lost it. I mean, in fairness, Saliba's obviously we don't like to admit it, but he's a top quality centre half, physically strong. Probably wound up by the fake IG post yesterday, just in case he thought it was Richie who'd mocked him on there, which he quickly deleted off the IG feed, didn't he, William? But no, I mean. You feel like we need a lot more up front than Richie as the second option. He works hard. He's willing to put himself about, willing to run, but his all round play he's miles off it at the moment. And it doesn't even look the player that we bought 2 years ago, does he? He seems to have gone even further off from that. So definitely work to do. And as much as we've won the game, probably in a Premier League game, his foul on Skelly gets called as a foul, and they don't even give the goal, and we end up with no shots on target. So it's definitely a little trip on him, isn't it? Rather than a push. So we certainly need a lot more up front than Richie like that today. That's for sure.
George, coming to you, and I know Jason's been speaking about this in our WhatsApp groups, that the numbers of the players that we can have squad wise going forward into the season and the homegrowns. I mean, it leaves me a little bit sort of closing one eye and going, I don't quite understand this. So for the idiot's guide to what's what, I know that it's 25 and you have to have so many homegrowns, etc., etc. So there is, I mean, it's not just go out and buy him, go out and buy that one, this one, that one. There is checks and balances to be had here, isn't there, going forward into the season and who you can announce?
Yeah, definitely. I think the main issue for us is Champions League. The one thing I will say in terms of the Premier League is obviously a 25-man squad. You're allowed maximum 17 non-homegrown players. I think because a lot of our players are under 21, we don't need to register them. I think we're only at about 13, maybe non-homegrown players that are older than 21. So we've got a lot of wiggle room in that sense. But we do only have 7 out of 8 homegrown players. So if we want the maximum 25 squad, just to maximize the numbers, we're going to need to sign probably one homegrown player, which is probably why we went so heavy on Morgan Gibbs-White as well, to be honest. So I can see us signing a homegrown player just to kind of fill that maximum quota for Premier League. In terms of Europa, it's all the same, isn't it? UEFA. The homegrown is sort of split into 2: club trained and association trained. Club trained, obviously, being players between the ages of 15 and 21, were at Spurs. So more often than not, it's your youngsters, and people like Harry Kane would have counted, Cole Walker-Peters would have counted. At the moment, we've only got Brandon Austin, because Dane Scarlett. Actually, I think Dane Scarlett still technically wouldn't have counted to the B list, but either way, he's looking to go on loan anyway. So we've only got one, and you effectively have to reduce your squad by the amount that you're missing out of the 4. So we have to have a squad of 3 less than that. So we've only got a 22-man squad available to us, unless we were to sign someone like Dennis Serkin, who I think is the only one that's really available from Sunderland that we could get. Either way, before we made any signings, we were already, I think, 2 players over, which is why most people thought we were going to sell Basuma and Richarlison. But even then, that just breaks us even. To now add Kudus, to now add other players, we're going to have to probably not register a lot of other players or sell them.
Right.
So,
wow. Furiously, are you keeping up with this, listeners? It is literally, it's like Only Connect, isn't it? The game show on TV. It is crazy rules. It really is. For the days of just a 1 to 11 and no subs, and everybody from within a 10-mile radius.
Put it this way: the reason it gets difficult is because obviously, if we want to buy Champions League ready players or someone that's good enough for the Champions League, we're going to have to not register someone else.
Right. Harry Kane back.
Well, or we could do that. That would be the brilliant
Just buy Harry
solution.
Kane bags.
Club
Yeah.
trained, perfect.
Otherwise, you're looking at Skip and Winks next, and we don't really want to go there.
Well, exactly. So my worry is, in this sense, is that we're going to have to make some really, really tough decisions, especially because we've got Kudus in. We're potentially looking like we're getting Palinha in. We're probably going to try and get another 1 or 2 experience level players who aren't going to come not to play Champions League. So we're probably going to have to register those players. So to me, it looks like we're going to have to potentially not register someone like Archie Gray. Obviously, we might sell Son. Potentially look into not registering Kinski or let him go out on loan, but then you're only left with Austin as a backup. It becomes a little bit techie if Vicario gets an injury. So yeah, it's a lot of tough decisions the club will have to make. But I will say it does get fixed from next year onwards. So it's only this year that we're going to have these issues.
Okay, I don't want to know next year's until next year's, because that sounds crazy. And I have got a supplement question to that, George, but I am going to ask you that off air, because I'm sure that everybody now that explanation, which you've done beautifully, by the way, George, would give a paracetamol a headache, wouldn't it? I mean, it is just so ridiculously complicated. Listen, we're going to take our first break of the show. I know Marlon's got a bit of VT lined up to show us. So roll the tape, Marlon, if it's still on tape these days. You crazy kids with your MP3s and everything. So yeah, we've got a little something to bring you for your viewing delight.
Okay, with Thomas here in Hong Kong. We've just beaten Arsenal 1-0, which always sounds wonderful. What did you make of the performance, though? Because that's the important thing here.
I think the 1-0 score against Arsenal is absolutely beautiful score. Yes, it is a friendly, but it was a very competitive match. So I also said before the game that games against Arsenal are never friendly. It's you know, it means everything. But you could see, I actually really respect to both teams for their competitiveness in the game. It was very, very competitive. I was extremely happy with our first half. I think that first half was completely even in many ways. Loved the way the team performed. And throughout the game, the defensive structure was top. Second half, I felt we defended a little bit too much. But there was some tired bodies on the pitch, and also sometimes the nature of the game when you're up 1-0, the other team are sometimes pushing a bit more. But some of the defensive principles in high pressure, especially the first half, was really good. The mid block, where everyone defend together, and also the lower, and also the emergency defending, especially in the end, was top class. The desire was really good. We talk about that clean sheet mentality is a big thing we need to add to the team. Of course, we need to play forward and play brave and aggressive and offensive, but we need the other bit if we want to win enough football matches.
We look confident in our defending, Thomas, if that's a thing.
Yeah, I agree. It was clearly that, how can I say, the players felt confident and not safe. It's not safe, but they trusted the roles and their responsibilities and the principles, and that was very, very, very good to see.
So, having spoken about defending, we have to talk about our winning goal, Pape Matar. Wow, what a goal that was!
Is so far the goal of the season, huh? Great. I think, by the way, Pape has been amazing. I really like how he played and performed the last 4 weeks training and games. So he's just building. I think his all-round game today, top. And I know he got the player of the match. And I know the game played into it. But for me, I think he was the player of the match.
You've got to be some player to be able to spot that in a millisecond, haven't you? And you've got to get it right.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, yeah. He took it so well and so quick that he spotted that David was too far out of the goal and then put it away.
Okay, look, so this is the Arsenal game, always big. We move on to Newcastle. Are you happy where we are at the moment?
Yeah, in many ways. We definitely need to build. To build the fitness level, I think the performance team, the medical guys, the coaches have done a very good job. So we're adding layers also to build that robustness. So we're sure that we can compete in every game. So that I'm happy with so far. As I'm happy with where we are so far. I would say that the defensive part of the game was very good today and was a top test against a good team. The offensive, the bit that we need to build in, there's some bits I'd like to do even better. I think phase 1 was good, phase 2 was good, but when they were defending low, we need the next step, and that will come.
Last question, did everyone come through okay? I know it's early, you've only just come out of the dressing room, but it looked like everyone was all right.
Yeah, and I think that's the next big thing. We have been training hard, and now we played a very competitive match today. And as far as I know, touch wood, everyone is good, and that's equally as important.
So there you go, Thomas Frank, an animated Thomas Frank. He's normally literally Mr. Flatline, isn't he? But there was quite a lot of animation in there with him, especially when he spoke about the defending in the second half and throwing his head back. He just seems to, I don't know whether it's just the euphoria of today's game, but yeah, he did seem a little more animated and out there, but just a personal observation, and obviously just after the game as well. So, but no, good stuff. Marlon, have we got a graphic of today's starting 11? Is that in amongst our? There we go. Brilliant stuff. So the actual game itself, Vicario started, Pedro Porro, Romero, Van der Ven, Spence, Bentancur, Sarr, Bergvall, Kudus, Richarlison, Odegaard started. I haven't got my glasses on, so I can't see them subs. I've got absolutely no chance. I would have 20 years ago, I'd have read you that whole lot off. But I know it was Kinski, Oskin, Danso, Davis, Abbott, Gray, Biss, Donnelly, Madders, Johnson, Tell, Son, and Young. Jason, any surprises for you with that starting lineup there, or was you expecting to see somebody over somebody, etc., etc.?
No, I think that's just where we are fitness-wise at the moment. Obviously, Dom would you'd pick Dom over Richie, but Dom's not there, and Maddison can't play as the 10, so you don't know quite whether that midfield three today is going to be the three that he goes for, or whether Maddison gets a place as his fitness comes up. But other than that, the back four, we can more or less predict, can't we? And then it's a case probably of Odegaard or Tell on the left, depending on which one he prefers. I think the one take from overall today as well, Sonny looks a bit disconnected and troubled, doesn't he? He looks incredibly flat on the sideline. We're not seeing that smiling face that we all knew. But other than that, no, I think that's pretty much the side that he can go with. It'd be interesting to see when hopefully Dom comes back on for the Newcastle game. We get to see that. Your doggy's back in London, isn't he? I think so. He'll obviously come there, but for who's available today, that's probably the side you kind of think is going to be his starting 11.
Marlon, can I trouble you to put that picture up just one more time, please? Because King Hoddle's made a magnificent observation now. Is that a bird biting Richie on the cheek? And all I can think of those of you that are 107 years old, is Rod Hull and Emu attacking Michael Parkinson. That's a great spot, King Hoddle. That does actually look like a bird beginning to have a go at Richie. Does. Magnificent spot. Well done. Super stuff. George, coming over to you. Sorry, just my silly brain, and obviously King Hoddles as well. George, coming to you. It was a bit of a slow start, wasn't it? We looked like we was a little bit of trouble to start with, but it built and it grew, and a little bit more confidence. And on 11 minutes, Pedro Porro, wow, I mean, that's nearly dropped straight in from a corner, isn't it? And that would have just been absolutely magnificent. Kings of like the set piece and corners and everything, if they'd have actually conceded one that way. But we did actually grow into that game.
Yeah, I think we probably were using the beginning of that game to sort of suss a little bit how Arsenal were going to play, because The thing that surprised me a little bit about them today is that they were very, very direct. In fact, they were more direct than we were. There was a lot of long balls going over the top to our defense. So I think maybe we were just sort of like bedding in a little bit, trying to suss out what was going on. But again, I think like Marlon was saying earlier, it kind of played into our hands a little bit as well, because we weren't so high up like we were under Ange. If I'm thinking this is last season now, if we played the exact way Ange played against them today, I think a lot of those balls over the top, they would have had plenty of more chances in and probably could have got more goals. But because we were sort of sitting in this mid to low block to begin with, they weren't finding any luck. So I think we just sort of were growing into the game a little bit more as that went on, when we realized, look, hold on, they're not really getting through here. We're putting in some monster tackles, as you can just seen on the screen there. I thought they were brilliant in terms of winning all the duels, like Frank said at the beginning, like he wanted us to. So I think that was a big plus. And I think once they sort of rode that wave of the first 10 minutes, I think they were then able to start creating those chances. Like you said, that one calendar year, we could have seen 2 corners direct straight into the goal, which would have been absolutely mental. And I think I'm glad to see that we're only 4 games in, only really a month into Frank's tenure here, and we're already seeing big differences in the way we tackle set pieces and stuff. So for me, it's more about that, how quickly we are applying these into real games, especially one that was more intense today than I thought it would be. That's the part I'm really impressed with. So yeah, I'm glad we managed to sort of grow into the game a bit more.
Marlon, there was some good bite with our bark today, wasn't there? With those challenges, we did actually really press when we was out of possession and winning back, which obviously led to the goal. But just throughout the game, we gave them really very little chance to sort of get a foot on the ball or get any moves going. We was bang straight in their faces.
Yeah, and I think that played into our hands, as like George said. That's why they ended up playing the long balls, because that's where they could probably see they're trying to get Saka and Martinelli into that game, but because the way that Spence and Porro were dealing with them, they were just cutting them out every single time. And you know, Havertz usually has a bit more guile about him when he's playing on top for Arsenal. But even that, Van der Ven and Romero were literally on top of him. The tackles were hard. It felt like we wanted it a little bit more than them. First 10 minutes, I have to say, I was a bit worried. I'm not going to sit here and lie and say I wasn't, because I thought they looked stronger than us. They had most of the ball. We kind of didn't get control of it. But as the game went on, and I think afterwards, like you said, Porro had that first corner, we started to slowly get back into the game. And I think what was most important, and just going by your tackles, was when Kudus got it off of, I can't remember who he got the ball off, but he won the ball back. He then plays, I can't remember who he plays it into, but then plays it into Odegaard, who hits the post. And that just happens in the space of like 2-3 minutes of how much they're working hard on at the top end of the pitch as well to win that ball back. So it's going to be really, really interesting over the next few weeks. Like I said, I just want to see more of that attacking play. But as long as we're doing the bits right now, some of the bits that we didn't see last year, scoring goals will become second nature. And I think we'll start seeing more and more open play stuff as the week go on. But no, look, completely happy with the way that performance went. I think compared to how everyone was feeling over the weekend, but then you got to remember that was 2 different teams. And he actually, like Jason said, if you look at that starting lineup today, bar Richie, that is pretty much what's going to start against Burnley in a few weeks. I think Odegaard kind of played his way into the team today as well to be on that left. We haven't seen anything from anyone else that actually cement it on the left right now. I think everyone's been poor who's played there, but I think when we look at it, Odegaard gave White a lot of trouble because Saka weren't tracking back, so it literally left him one-on-one with White, and White just looked exposed, completely exposed, which then meant, as Jason said, Saliba was good because he was then covering for White because he had to be there, and that's why Saliba played really, really well. He did get man of the match.
Good stuff. Jason, the actual game itself being in Hong Kong, now, usually gents of a certain age like you and I would normally shaking our fists and shouting at the clouds about the good old days and the game going to places like this. But as a man that spends time in Asia, the crowd, just generally, both Arsenal and Tottenham, they bought into that today, didn't they? There was, there wasn't your normal sort of songs that you would hear in the UK, and why would there be? Because it's in Hong Kong. But that was a good partisan crowd there today that got really into that game, and a good atmosphere, wasn't there? And it's nice to see the game being promoted and getting out there, because not everybody can get to the UK for this sort of thing, can they?
Absolutely. And, I'm fully endorse them going on tours, be it to Asia, be it to the States. The Premier League is watched around the world. There's lots of people from lots of countries that are buying kits and buying all the merch and things like that. And that, I'm definitely never in favour of the 39th game idea, going abroad, or the 37th game, or whatever they came up with. But I fully endorse the tours. It's not just what you see, it's the amount of fan parks and the amount of interaction that players have with the supporters on these trips, the fan nights where they, Thomas Frank going into one of the fan nights and things like that last night. They're all the important things, and definitely the crowd bought in. If we're honest, from the outside, it probably looked like 75% of the crowd were in red, in fairness, but our lot made some noise, and probably the one slight difference is you notice a few people in red and white clapping Sarr's bit of skill for the goal, which I'm not so sure DT and Ty and all those people would be standing there clapping the audacity of it. But that he even tried to do the lob was excellent. But no, they're vital things to go and do, these tours, and definitely in a couple of days' time, the whole stadium will be looking like they're in white rather than black and white when Sonny turns up in Korea.
Being so nice about these tours, Jason. I'm just trying to blag us a free trip out there now. We've endorsed it and spoke up so well about it. Listen, let me come to you, George, to finish the first half. I'll give you the honour of speaking to us about Pape Sarr's goal, or Sayyim from the halfway line, as I've now dubbed it. And Jason's probably right. That gets blown up, pulled back, and doesn't happen. But the fact that he's actually done that, and I do have to say props to my son, Tom, who on 10 minutes into the game was saying that Raya is playing so ridiculously high here. He is going to get chipped. If not today, he will get chipped at some stage, because that's just ridiculous positioning, given like who you're up against and turnovers, and bang, in it's gone. It was sensational, wasn't it?
Yeah, and I think that screenshot is that is fantastic. Like, in fact, you can see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 Spurs players all in that such close vicinity, just ready to win that ball back. I think that's where you can almost draw the similarities to Ange ball in a way. But Frank's obviously done this at Brentford for ages. They focus, as much as they are a good defensive side, like they focus so much on winning that ball back and getting as quick counter as possible. And I like little details like that, because I'm sure Frank would have noticed that Raya steps up high as well, because I was just speaking to one of my Arsenal mates, if you can call them mates, earlier today, and he says he's been doing that all season. And because of how much Frank, focuses on so much small details in matches, I would not be surprised if he has told the team about how there's a real possibility to score quickly on the break because of that. And I'm glad Sarr was able to pick his head up so quickly to see that opportunity, because I feel like when you think of Sarr as a player, he kind of just strikes you as someone that might, facilitate others. He might pass to someone else and maybe not take on the opportunities himself. And I'm really glad that he did, because it was an absolute stunning goal. I mean, how many chances have we seen like that where someone's tried to typically keep along and it's gone so far wide or whatever? But no, I think he's judged that perfectly, and credit to them for winning that ball back in that area, because I think all round that was a good team effort to try and put, Lewis Skelly off and see that opportunity.
Marlon, it was lovely to see Raya just scrambling back. I've seen a couple of screenshots of him diving with nobody else. That's the loneliest position in the world, or just trying to reach. And I did love that he's run back and then put his hand up to grab the crossbar after, the horse is bolted the stable. Fantastic stuff. But technically, it's not as easy as it looks, is it? That's a difficult strike and just fantastic from him.
No, yeah, do you know what? I have to give Sarr credit because I've always moaned about him and his passing ability in the Spurs team. I feel like he always gives it away a lot and it's not as accurate. But I've noticed over the last year or so, he's slowly getting better at this. And we saw, if you go back to the early campaign of the Europa League, you'll find that Sarr was involved in a lot of the goals and things that were coming our way. And then the Europa League final as well, where he puts it into the box. There's a player in there that I think Frank might be able to unlock and has probably got him at the right time because the technique he pulled on that today, even I wasn't expecting it from Sarr. Of all people, he was probably the last person in the middle of the park out of him, Berryville and Bentancur that I would have said would have done that. But he laced it and it was just so beautifully crafted as well. And just when he finally realised what was going on, you could clearly see he just went, "Oh crap. This has finally happened, and it's going to happen in the North London derby abroad, and I'm never going to be able to forget it because Spurs fans will be playing that every week for the next until he leaves Arsenal." But yeah, it was good technique, good on Sarr, and do you know what? I actually can't wait for Sarr this season because I think he might be the gem that everyone doesn't realise might improve the most under Frank.
Very much, Jason. Just generally,
it was good to see the cupping of the ears as well, wasn't it? As they celebrated behind the goal in front of them. I enjoyed that.
Jason, just generally from what you've seen, as you said, it's very, very early days, but the patterns of play that we're seeing and structures from Spurs now, what sort of team are we going to struggle against this season? Is this a low blocks that we're really going to struggle with, or have you seen anything to suggest that we can set up to actually counter that in some of the games?
Oh, I think the low block teams are the ones that we traditionally have always struggled against, aren't they? In fairness to Thomas Frank, as I said on Saturday, Ange had a clear way of playing that as soon as he came in, he worked on that one way of playing. And I remember seeing the training sessions 2 years ago, pre-season in Asia, where you could clearly see what we were trying to do. But there is only so many hours in a day. So, when Ange came in and thought, right, I've got 4 hours training today with these players, we're going to work on this thing for 4 hours. Then Thomas Frank's come in and he's thinking, we've got to sort out the set pieces, we've got to sort out the defending, we've got to sort out our attacking play then. So instead of 4 hours a day, you're down to 1 and a bit hours, aren't you, for each session. So it will take longer for everything to look right. You have got to cut him some slack on that. Probably we all said last season we need to defend a lot better and we need to defend set pieces a lot better. So they're the top 2 boxes to go and change. And in fairness, it appears that we're doing that, and you can see the work we're doing on it. The blocking drill that they put on YouTube or whatever, you can see a real desire in players to go and block the ball and go and close down and things like that today. But if you're spending a couple of hours a day on drills doing that, then it's less time to do the attacking thing. So, and as I think it was George said earlier, until Maddison's back, until Kulu's back, until Dom Solanke's back and properly fit, it's hard to work on those things without those particular players. So, I'm not alarmed at it yet. It's definitely something that's a work in progress we need to improve on, but let's give him some slack, as I say, let him improve the things that we know we desperately needed and let 1 or 2 players come back. But definitely you would say the low block teams are going to be the ones, but that's hopefully where Kudus should help you, because he's got that trick in him, and if you can generally dribble past someone, you suck that first defender out of a hole, then you can start to pick gaps from their else. And I thought Odegaard tried to do that at times today as well. Looked quite tricky rather than just being the runner that Brennan Johnson and such is. So I think we'll get there, but we're just going to have to be patient. And there will be times, without a doubt, when we come against a low block side, when we struggle, and it's important to stay calm and think, look, it's a work in progress, instead of thinking, go and buy this, go and buy that, go and buy this every time, because it doesn't always work just doing that.
Listen, we will have a little bit of AOB once we've capped off today's glorious cup win. But seeing a lot of comments now in the sidebar there but Paulinho's being reported as close now to coming to Spurs. So I'll leave it to George and Marlon and Jason whilst I'm waffling away to go across the socials. Jason's having absolutely none of it. Your mate Bifford of Bins reporting.
Close until Mr. Maran was his name Mr. Maranakis.
That's
until
him,
Mr.
yeah.
Maranakis told him to stand in front of the camera and say Mr. Maranakis over and over and over and over again. So let's wait till he's holding his shirt up.
He's got Gibbs-White chained to the radiator next to Ricky Sacks at the moment. He's got the pair of them on lockdown. But yeah, we'll take a little look at that, and then we'll come to a little bit more of that at the end of the show. Listen, time for a second break. I'm assured that Marlon has another bit of VT to play us for our second break of the show. If you aren't already following us on the socials, we're across. George, you're a young man. We're on X. Yes, I know that much. Are we on TikTok yet? Or I know that we're on Facebook and YouTube, of course we are. But look, give us a follow. Have I missed any there, like Mumsnet or MySpace or anything, George, where you can find Last Word?
That's a good point. I would have thought Instagram as well, but actually, I haven't really.
Yeah, Insta and Twitch is the only ones missing.
All right. Okay.
I need to speak to Ricky about that. That is terrible.
Yeah. You know what? We do really need to up our socials game on this. Like, I mean, it's a young man's game now. No, we're not even across TikTok yet. Jason, I'm going to put you in charge of the TikTok feed for Last Word. Yeah.
You know what? That would,
social media, mate.
That would I think that would unironically work.
Especially in a transfer window time. Leave me off of it, please.
Just a picture of a wheelie bin on fire. That's all you're going to get. Anyway, break time. Marlon, can you bring us the next bit of VT,
We're here with the
please?
man of the moment. Pat, wow. What a goal. Tell us about it.
Yeah, it was the ball, like they lose the ball in the middle, and I see the goalkeeper, it was a little bit higher. Yeah, and I take my chance, and yeah, the goal was amazing. Yeah.
How did it feel when you just saw it just land in the goal beautifully?
Yeah, I think I used to score the goal like this because when I was in maths, I scored similar this goal in my national team, and I think I have to keep going to score like this goal more time.
And all Spurs fans will have loved your celebration, by the way.
Yeah, I scored the goal like what the Arsenal fan. And yeah, I just wanted to do my celebration, and yeah.
But you've got to.
Yeah, I know, but it was nice. Yeah.
Okay, tell us, how are you? How are you finding pre-season? How are you finding working with Thomas Frank?
Yeah, for me personally, feel good. Yeah, we're working very hard to be ready for the league, and yeah, I mean, I'm happy to be in White the Gaffer, and yeah, I will keep going to be ready for the league.
It's an important time, isn't it, to get his ideas into the players?
Yeah, it's important for everyone. Yeah, like I said, we'll keep going and we'll be ready for the league.
I have one more question for you. Where is your Europa League medal? Where have you put it? Where have you hidden it? Is it out on show?
Yeah, I give it to my mom because yeah, I win this trophy for my family, and yeah, I give the medal to my mom, and she was happy, and I think she's gonna be there for the final against Paris, and she will bring it for me.
Yeah, I bet you're looking forward to that, aren't you? Playing PSG, right?
Yeah, we're looking forward to that because we prepare well, like we played today, and yeah, we're gonna be ready for the final against PSG.
Well, how can you not love Pape Sarr? I mean, he's just such a great lad, and I absolutely loved the gaffer thrown in there as well, because he's picking up English and it's getting better, but that the use of gaffer thrown in there was just magnificent. But he seems a really, really good lad, and as somebody's Paul Russell's pointed out in the comments, he's paid for hospitals, electricity, electrical goods at local schools and villages he's from. So, for all the ills of football, you see things like that, and you see a humble lad who's just so good at what he does, and does make the heart sing somewhat, doesn't he? He does seem a good lad, Jace, doesn't he?
Yeah, absolutely. And one thing to say about African players, South American players, and things, when they're always accused of, they're only in it for the money and they're money grabbing, the amount of them that set up foundations, South American players looking after people from the favelas and that, it's astonishing. I mean, for all the flag that Adebayor used to get, the amount of money that they pump into their local areas in setting up these schools and hospitals and things is huge. So fair play to them like that. It's entirely different world than it just all sits in their bank account and they live off the wealth of it, and that's fine. So, as Paul's right, Sadio Mane, huge amounts of his wealth and that he gives away. So fair play to them.
Excellent stuff. Into the second half, chaps, and it was a little bit more backs against the wall, but coped really, really well. I know that Thomas Frank said he was, a bit concerned about that side of it. And of course, Marlon, please bring that back up. We had this magnificent moment where George, I'll come to you.
Yes.
I'm not talking about Pedro Porro here. That man is a 24-carat dick, isn't he? Honest to God. I mean, come on. He gets pushed out the way. He's out of his box and then has the cheek to moan. I mean, he's the type of guy that would go swimming in Western Australia and walk down the beach past the sign saying, "Don't swim here, sharks in the water," get bit, and then moan to the Coast Guard, "I've been bitten by a shark." He's something else, and he really is.
To me, it's just so performative because he's done it all the last couple of seasons. There's no need for him to be basically on the pitch to give his guidance. There's just no need for it. All I will say is I think Højbjerg will be absolutely super proud of Porro for what he did there and showing him who's boss, really, because I just don't understand how he can't fail to follow the dotted line there and just stand back a yard or two. But I guess he's so used to coming second that he wants to get as close to the pitch as possible to try and taste some real glory. But it is what it is.
Absolutely that. If there's ever a man, Jason, that embodies their support base on large swathes of it, it is him, isn't it? Just try and honestly, it fails me. It really does. But he never seems to be punished for it either, does he? With any sort of great degree.
Seems to get away with it constantly, doesn't he? And it's the phrase "get out of your box" was entirely, or "get back in your box" rather, was meant for him, isn't it? It's ludicrous how he abuses that rule completely. It's as if he thinks, I'm above the law, nothing's ever going to happen. But it wasn't even an accidental clash, was he? He's standing right in front of Porro, who's trying to take a throw on. I mean, anyone can. You can see it, can't you? I mean, just look at those images. I mean, he knows full well he shouldn't be there. But it's one thing when you're trying to tell the back four to stay in shape, the ball's up the other end of the pitch. But to do it right in front of somebody who's trying to take a throw on is just ridiculous. He's an utterly unlikable person, and you're right. He sums up everything that's wrong about that football club.
And he's here tonight. Please welcome to the stage.
I don't mind, mate. He can be here. I don't mind.
Marlon, some other notable incidents or incident from the game was also Romero's nutmeg. Now, here's a man that's got such Jedi master powers that he can even foul somebody without even touching them. That one nutmeg, I mean, there was a slide through onto, who did he slide through to? It was onto one of our own players, wasn't it?
Spence.
I think it was Jed. Yeah. Jed.
But who was it that actually slid in and he
Havertz.
Yeah,
I would have loved Havertz to have been sent off for flattening for flattening Jed Spence while he was being nutmegged.
well, Marlon, he nearly had to pay to come back in, didn't he? I mean, it was just magnificent.
It was absolutely brilliant. You know what? I like it when Romero is on that sort of level and he's that confident, because we do end up seeing the best out of him, and then we don't see that red reaction when he's going to get sent off. It's the calm tackles. It's the way, and he's elite. He becomes a leader. But slightly, I think he meant to get Jed Spence for what he did to Porro the other day. He was saying, "Hey mate, I saw what you did in training, just to make sure I'm going to get you too." So, but no, in all seriousness, though, it was brilliant from Romero. I thought, do you know what? I think this is where we have to kind of look and see, like, especially last season, when we've got Romero and Van der Ven as a back two. Doesn't matter who the wing backs are. As soon as we've got them, we do look so much more like a solid team. Yes, Danso came on in that second half and did well as well, don't get me wrong. But you can clearly see that as a partnership, they are very, very good together. They just complement each other. And whatever weakness one has, the other one's able to cover it. So, but yeah, it was brilliant from Romero. And the fact he could be that cheeky, and especially in a friendly, and the fact that he knows that we would have been seething if we lost today. No matter how we look at it, we would have been seething. But yeah, good on him. If he's going to be playing like that, it means he's enjoying himself. And it kind of means he's not angling for that transfer away. And that's the key thing, to make sure he's happy and he actually can see this club moving forward. So who knows?
From his post afterwards, I think he seems like he is ready to stay and carry on afterwards. Carry on next season, sorry.
I got the impression today from him he looked totally focused, and I think that Atletico knows it's gone quiet. I'd be stunned if he left.
I'm pretty sure they also signed a centre back as well. Obviously, I don't know after two, but I'm pretty sure they've already got one. So.
Yeah, last week they did. I can't remember who, but I do remember them signing someone. But you're right about that defensive pairing, Marlon. George, if Mickey van der Ven and Romero were born in 1970s America, they would be ideal for a good cop, bad cop American police series, wouldn't they? They really do complement each other, and there's a real bond and partnership, and it's a good blend. It's such a blend.
Yeah, they're perfect. To be fair, we've said this for the last couple of years, to be honest with you. I think it's just the problem is naturally they've just been injured a lot, or whether it's down to style of play or whether that was accidental. Like I think one of Romero's injuries was collision on his foot, which is just happens in football. So I think unfortunately we just haven't really actually been able to see them together anywhere near as much as we would have liked last season and the season before. But when they do play together, I think they just raise the level of our defense, and like you said, complement each other so well. You've got Romero, hard hitting. He likes to step up to try and win the ball back from players, whereas Van der Ven, we all know his pace is so good and his recovery is so good, and not only that, the way he sort of steps across attackers to kind of win the ball back is great. And I think they just really partner each other well. But yeah, I just want to say as well, I think Danzo, when he came in, I thought was brilliant. There's one moment in particular, well, he did it a few times, but what I liked, and again, I think it's just small details. The moment Gyökeres came onto the pitch, Danzo was constantly, whenever they were off the ball could have been out on the wings, constantly was nudging into him, was shoving him, was giving him a tough time. And I think I really like that these little things are sort of coming together in these preseason games, where we're trying to, be a little bit tougher, be a little bit nasty to play against. Whereas how many managers have we said in the last few years? Even Mourinho said himself, we're too nice sometimes. So no, I'm liking the look of our defense at the moment. They're showing some really good signs this preseason.
I think the other thing with Danso, he's the one of the three that looks to really go and attack the ball defensively, isn't it? In the air as well. There was one excellent headed clearance from him with a really good whip ball, which he got to, and that's probably my one worry with both Mickey and Romero, that they can both get done in the air a little bit on on the back foot when a ball comes into the box, a little bit flat-footed. But Danso's the one that seems to really go and attack that. So, no, he was excellent when he came on, Danso.
Marlon, coming to you in the substitutions, you had Danso, Tell and Johnson that came on for the excellent Romero, the brilliant Kudos today, and Richie, bless him. But them three that came on, as we said, Danso done very well. Tell and Johnson. It was energy sapping. Again, Jason, you called this on about 60 minutes. That's, I've never had the pleasure of getting out to Asia, but I've heard you say time and time again, it really is. It's a heat that hits differently, isn't it? So they were welcome substitutions, yeah? Yeah,
without a doubt. And, if you go to Asia, I mean, the first thing is when the players were getting off the plane on the club video, you saw nearly everyone said straight away, oh, this is hot, this is hot. And even though they've been there for the last couple of years, it still hits you. Then you've put Arsenal, who've already had 2 games in that heat, and they've been there pretty much 10 days, 9 or 10 days. They're fully acclimatized to it. I think we went Sunday, so you don't get there till Monday. So, Monday afternoon type of thing. So you've only really had 2 and a bit days to get ready for it. And I said straight away, around about 65, 70 minutes, you'll really see it kick in. And I thought they looked a lot stronger than us in that last 20 minutes. But yeah, it takes it out of you, that heat, that's for sure.
Excuse my manners, Marlon. I came to you, then ended up going to Jason. So I'll come back to you again. The 3 that came on, they done well as well, didn't they?
Yeah, they did okay. I think Danso was probably the best one out of it. I think once the subs were made, I don't know if I'm going to sound a bit negative saying this, but we just looked like we were 17th place again. It was a bit, we were giving the ball back. We didn't keep it very well. We kind of just kept giving it back to Arsenal. And I felt like we had our backs against the wall a little bit in that second half. And when we tried to go up to Tell, I know he was struggling to keep hold of the ball. It just always kept coming back. And that's pretty much what I saw last year. So I'm not the fact I'm worried. I think it's more the case of if Solanke is not around, we do just need cover up top. Someone who's going to be strong, hold that ball up top. So it's not always coming straight back to us. But look, it is what it is. This is the squad he's got to work with. He'll soon start to find his feet with these substitutions and where they're all going to fit in. There is probably a couple that are going to leave that probably came onto the pitch today in that second half as well that we probably won't see. But look, they did a job. They took the pressure. And to be fair, Arsenal did bring on their 2 big summer signings as well in that second half, who generally will probably be in their first team. But yeah, it was just, we handled everything very well. And that's the only thing I can say to that. But look, it's going to be a squad game next year. So it's going to be really interesting again to see how we cope with, these subs and what they're going to do when they come on. Because it's going to be, I tell you what's going to be really interesting in all this is Brennan Johnson's role next year. What role is he going to play? Because he was a guaranteed starter under Ange. It doesn't look like it's going to be that way under Frank. And he was put on the left in that against Luton and he was terrible. But today he was, he came on, didn't have a massive impact, but he was good defensively. He put in some tackles, so it's going to be see what he ends up doing in this system as well. Because obviously Frank wanted him at Brentford, so very interesting.
I thought when Marlon said they brought on their big signing, I thought their big signing from Coventry came on, didn't he? I don't think he touched the ball, did he, in the 20 minutes he was on?
Like Jules said, Danso just had him.
Went from Coventry and Swansea and Brighton than anywhere else.
But listen, hold on, we did, and think of it what you will, and the whys, whats, and wherefores. We all have our individual thoughts on what this actually means, but we held on. It's a win against them, and we come to the trophy giving part of it. So I'll come to you, Jason. I mean, from Sonny's picked it up eventually after a load of pictures that was taken and the dignitaries and the niceties that get done. It was interesting because Sonny was a bit oh, do I go full John Terry with the lifting of this here? And was a bit unsure. Maddison, however, he was ready to go. I mean, he had the old hands waving. Oh, and he sort of looked round. Anybody else with me? No, he was like the one man clapping in the room, wasn't he? Or putting his hand up for a high five, and one never comes back. But yeah, that's an interesting trophy to say the least, wasn't it? I'll throw it over to any one of you three to start on that, because it was a bit like, oh, is that it?
It looks like an award a hotel gets for like being like best player of the year or something. It's really strange.
The best swimming pool in Asia trophy, isn't it?
Who's the top right?
I thought that those of you that have youngsters go to secondary school age, and when they have the open night, then you go and see a prospective new secondary school, and you get to the art studios, and that sort of sat there like Claire Smith from 12W made this with Mixed Art Medias last year, where they show off the best bits of art that they've made. Yeah, it's but look, listen, the North London
time it took though, wasn't it? Because before the trophy, it looked like when they were being told, I thought perhaps we're not going to get it on the pitch or something, because they all looked completely confused by it. And then when they eventually got to the platform, we then spent 10 minutes with all these dignitaries having photos taken in front of it, and just get on with it, please.
I always do find it weird having a trophy for one game. even if it is pre-season, at least have maybe a couple games or something. It's just
hold on, George. We go for the Super Cup in 2 weeks.
Well,
that's the treble.
You want it more like the Audi Cup, don't you? Where you had to play 2 games to win.
Yeah, obviously. That was a proper trophy, that one.
We win a couple of weeks' time. I'm calling that the treble. We are treble winners if we get that over the line. But you could actually see Thomas Frank, when you had all this, like, now just the members of the bride's family for the picture, now the friends of the groom. He did look a little bit rankled by it, because they've had a hard game in heat, and there's certain procedures that they've got for warming down, etc. And another game coming on Sunday, and you can't leave these fine athletes just standing round doing nothing. There's warm downs and everything to be done with muscles. So I was quite surprised that it sort of dragged on for that long. But it's a lot of money in the coffers, isn't it, this sort of thing? So, and he who pays the piper and all of that. So, but well done the crowd, well done Tottenham today. Unlucky Arsenal, ha ha ha. So look, AOB to close up. I'll come to you first, George. Any other little bits and pieces surrounding Tottenham at present, away from all this and incomings and outgoings that you've seen? Or
well, it's literally just the Palinha news, to be honest. That's just been breaking now, pretty much on X, Twitter, whatever you want to call it. It seems like it's going to get done. It looks like it's a loan with a buy option, which I don't mind that. I think for me, it's not really the type of midfielder I would have personally prioritized, considering how tight we are with our squad in terms of numbers that we have available. I personally would have preferred someone that's more of like a deep line playmaker, someone that can create from deep. Because at the moment, when we're trying to create these transitions, we're kind of heavily relying on Porro and Romero to do that. We don't really have a midfielder that can sort of play these long diagonal passes to send in Kudus and stuff like that. But it looks like from this move that Frank is more focusing on creating more of a tough team to beat. And I'm pretty sure we've got the video of it somewhere, but with what Frank was talking about in his pre-match talk with the players about how he wants players to win duels. It's all about winning the 50-50s. And that was the same as at Brentford as well. I think he first probably wants to make a really, really, really solid defense. And Palinha does bring that. When he was at Fulham, he was one of the best defensive mids in the league. And it's still a type of player we don't have. It's just personally, from my preference, not the one I would have prioritized on. But I'm sure Frank knows way better than I do. So there you go. I think it's a good move in that respect, and it probably just pushes someone like a Wharton type player further down the line to next year. And in my eyes, I'm hoping if it's just a loan, all that money can hopefully go towards a Sonny replacement.
Nothing's done, of course, until it's done. So yeah, until they're actually in the shirt, holding the shirt up, then do hold our collective horses. But yeah, there's a lot of noise and hum about that happening. Marlon, have you got that bit of VT with Thomas Frank pre-game today that we could just see for everybody?
Yeah, I've got it. Just explain to everyone, it's the tactics before the game that he was going on, so you'll see exactly what he's talking to the team.
Good.
No. Big thing, duels and second balls, okay? So when they go long in high pressure, and when we go long, we need to land on the second balls, okay? And make sure we win those 50-50s. They will be aggressive, we need to be aggressive. Make sure we are brave, okay? Play forward, trust yourself, play each other good, and play enough in behind. Okay, boys, let's go.
Come on, boys, come on.
Good stuff. Excellent. Should have left that, or they should have filmed that more. I was quite enjoying that new tune that was dropping in now.
I don't want last one to get closed down.
You've contravened Warner Brothers Copyright Act of 2004. Oh, yeah, I know, right? All of that old nonsense. Marlon, for yourself, AOB, anything else, anything that you're up to, or where you can find you?
The one bit that we've missed out that we've also been linked with is this guy, Kolo Muani.
Ah, okay.
So what's happened is that basically Juventus can't afford him, and they've got a strained relationship with PSG apparently at the moment. So he looks like he suddenly became available, which Spurs are now trying to pursue. Obviously, because we tried to go for him in January. So it looks like we're trying to pursue with that as well. So that's probably where Morgan Gibbs-White money might go to. But obviously, it's going to be down to Muani, because he did reject us in January, whether he wants to come and play next year with us as well. So we might end up having to do a loan obligation to buy because of the Champions League and where we're going to finish. But if he could come in and be that guy, because he can play on the wing, he can play up top, he could be the bit where if Solanke's not around, or he may even go in front of Solanke, he'll produce some competition because he had a good loan spell at Juve last year. So it's going to be really interesting to see how that one progresses over the next few weeks. So another one that could be, we could have Paulinho and we could have two, hopefully.
Do you know what? I don't even blame him for rejecting us to choose Juve in January anyway, because at the time, we were like 14th, 13th. They were in the Champions League. We weren't. Like, there was no guarantees about, like, we were in a bad way back then. And he knew it was only going to be a 6-month loan. So of course you're going to choose Juventus over us in that sort of situation. But I think it could be a really good signing if it gets done.
Jason, cue the press conference with Muani and start speaking about how Ralph Coates was his favourite player as a kid, and he had an Alan Mullery tracksuit, and how it's always been Tottenham, and it was just a bit complicated in January. As he reads his notes that his agent's written for him in his press conference, I'm an old cynic.
Talking of press conferences, my one take from the week was Thomas, you're Tottenham's manager, not Brentford's manager. Don't call a team that hasn't won anything domestically for 5 years, hasn't won anything in Europe for 30 years, and has never played a single game on the world stage. Don't call them one of the best teams in the world, mate. Just because PSG's bench might have told him that, don't you go and tell him that. So admit they're a good side, no problem with that, but just remember you're at Tottenham and tone it down just a little bit, mate. That's all.
Yeah. Wise words from a wise man. Listen, chaps, I think we've capped everything off there, haven't we? So yeah, good stuff. Listen, upcoming fixtures as well. We've got Newcastle on Sunday, haven't we? That's on the 3rd midday kickoff. then Bayern Munich on the 7th at 5:30, and then of course just a small matter of PSG in the Super Cup. Which come on, that's no problem at all, is it? It's only PSG, lads.
That's PSG who are still on the beach. You know, they've got no warm-up games before it. I'm convinced we win it, mate. Convinced.
Oh, yeah, be positive. Be positive. Yeah. Although
the treble's on.
The treble's on. Although Denmark came off the beaches, didn't they, and
Well,
won the Euros?
true.
Yeah. So yeah. Be careful. Be careful. So listen, Jason, Marlon, George, thank you very much to everybody that's tuned in and downloaded and commented. Big love as always. Show can't go on without all you guys being involved. So brilliant stuff. So brilliant. Enjoy today. Enjoy the open top bus parade that will no doubt follow down Tottenham High Road for this. I think the number 67 leaves in about 12 minutes time from Seven Sisters Road. So brilliant stuff. Listen, keep safe, keep well. Thank you. Have a great holiday, Rick. Come on, you Spurs.
Up the Spurs.
Up the Spurs.